The Nun 2 is the latest chapter in the Conjuring Cinematic Universe. Before I saw this movie, I was really thinking about how much gas is left in the tank for this franchise. You know, some of the movies have been outstanding, some have been okay, some have been pretty bad. The first Nun movie I thought was very forgettable. In fact, I saw it once and I barely remember anything from it. So maybe it would have benefited me if I saw it again before I saw this one. But I want to talk about The Nun 2. And I want to talk about my feelings on the film and what I thought of it. First of all, this movie is continuing where The Nun 1 left off, with even some of the same characters going into a new story because The Nun is obviously not finished yet. This one is directed by Michael Chavez, who seems to be kind of the centerpiece when it comes to the creative of this cinematic universe. James Wan is still listed as the producer and ultimately the guy who created all of this, but Michael Chavez has already directed The Curse of La Llorona, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, which is the third one, and now this movie. So he's already done 3 different movies in this universe. So he's familiar with it, but also it feels like he's the one that's kind of keeping it afloat. So I will say this, even though I don't have a lot of memories about the first Nun, and I just got done watching this one, I remember how the first Nun made me feel. And it was just kind of like, it was okay. I have a review here on the channel of that movie. But this one was really, really good. I really liked this movie. And I went into it expecting every single horror trope ever. And we saw a lot of them. But Michael Chavez manages to take classic tropes, like classic jump scares. The movie has tons of jump scares. And it does build up a creepy atmosphere, maybe more so than even the first one. But he's able to do these jump scares and also do new things. There were new types of scares here, visual scares that were not only really creative and really inventive, and I really give credit to the entire team behind this, but also stuff that I've never seen before with the kind of technology that we have now to make things look good and the great cinematography from Tristan Nyby. The movie was written by Akela Cooper. That was the original, screenwriter for the film, who also wrote Megan, is writing the second Megan movie, Megan 2.0, and also wrote Malignant, and really a very well-known and respected horror writer, somebody who's close to James Wan. And so, of course, they're going to be involved in this project. So this new movie is basically continuing where we left off before. Well, not right away, but Thaisa Farmiga, Vera Farmiga's sister, who obviously Vera Farmiga, if you forgot, plays Mrs. Warren in this franchise. She plays the main character here, continuing where the Nun 1 left off, because this demon that is the Nun is not done yet. And there's a lot of things that happen, but in this movie it really feels like the Nun demon is on a mission, and we find out what that mission is, and we actually get a bit more backstory on the origin of the demon. It really reminded me of what they did with Annabelle Creation. The first Annabelle movie, not the best, got a lot of problems, and then Annabelle Creation came along and I enjoyed that one. Like, that one was really good. So the same thing kind of is going on here, where you have The Nun, which was okay, it's whatever. It's not bad, I didn't hate it, but it wasn't great. This one is better. All I can tell you is that this one definitely made me feel, you know what I mean, more dread. The story was a lot better. There was more backstory set up, and the movie does tie back into The Conjuring 2, because remember, The Nun was the lead villain in The Conjuring 2. And so this movie's sort of like a prequel to that movie, specifically to that film. So one thing I want to give credit to, first of all, is, there was a lot of really good, scary stuff here, especially with, there's actually, I don't want to spoil it, but the Nun isn't the only danger they have to deal with in this film, and I really like the way they did that. But I want to give credit to Marco Beltrami, who did the music for this movie. The score for this movie was really, really good. I don't think enough reviewers, including myself, discuss the importance of a great score, unless it's like, one of the legends, like a John Williams, people like that. Whereas I think there's a lot of underrated and up-and-coming musicians, or at least ones that don't do the big, Disney, Star Wars classic films, the big budget movies, The soundtrack for this one was really really good. There were parts where it just hit really hard, bum, ba-da-dum, bum, bum, like you're just it actually helped create the atmosphere. It was really really well done. I do like the backstory a lot of Valak and what they find out about the monster, what they do to stop it. There's obviously there's a lot of similarities to Annabelle Creation, dude. Like the fact that like if you remember in Annabelle Creation, you have like multiple girls in like one place. Like this kind of had a similar thing where you had like a boarding school where the nun was haunting. The only criticism I really have of it is, it's good. I enjoyed it. I don't know if it's necessarily must see. Like if you're a horror fan and you're already invested in the nun character, and if you're already invested in like the Conjuring universe, it's not gonna hurt to go see it. I will say this: I saw it with Dolby Surround, and that really helps. There's a scene with these two girls inside of their room, and they start hearing footsteps, in the upstairs above them, and they really took advantage of the Dolby because you literally feel like upper right footstep, upper middle, and then upper left, like as you're watching the movie. You literally feel the footsteps like around you. It's almost like the character is walking around you, and that's something that I think James Wan used to do extraordinarily well, and probably still does. We'll find out when Aquaman 2 comes out. I mean, I trust him, but here it was done really well. Like I really noticed how well the editing was for the movie. They put a lot of TLC into this one. The previous Nun, I won't lie, it did kind of come off like it was kind of slopped together. It just didn't really capture my attention. It was forgettable. Like I can barely remember anything about that movie. Whereas with this one, there's a lot of really good scares here. So if it's the season, if you want to go see this film, it's a good date film. I would say it's a pretty good movie to go see. I still kind of am interested in seeing the new Exorcist. That one's probably going to be similar to this one as far as tone goes, and maybe even filmmaking style, because the Conjuring universe has borrowed so much. They have borrowed so much from the Exorcist, but then again, I feel like every exorcism movie or movie involving demons borrows from it. There is a mid-credit scene that sort of ties more of the movies together, although I don't want to sit here and say it's necessarily something that you must stay for the middle of the credits to see, because it's just tying into stuff you already know. You know what I mean? So eventually they're going to probably do a thing, or I'm going to do a thing myself actually, where I watch these movies in chronological order, because as you know, the Annabelle movies take place at different time frames. Same thing with The Nun. Like The Nun, some of this takes place in the 50s, and then some, is before that, and some is after that. It just depends on the part of the story they're going to. So, yeah, a lot more biblical stuff as well in this movie. So I enjoyed it. I mean, I did enjoy this movie. Jonas Bloquet as Maurice, I thought was great. I think he's got a future, in my opinion. I think so. But Storm Reed was in the film, the same actress from 12 Years a Slave. She was Deborah. She was like the co-main character, kind of, sort of. You know what I mean? But I enjoyed it. And it was a good time. Maybe you're not into these kind of movies. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a must-see, but I was not bored. I enjoyed it. Anyways, y'all, that's my review for The Nun 2. If you saw it, leave a comment and let me know also how much gas is in the tank for this Conjuring universe, because I'm wondering where the heck they're going with this. Like, is it building up to something, or are we just going to get random movies about different hauntings? I don't know. Take care, y'all. See you soon.